And the seagulls follow the shore. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
And as we say now in my country, they brought the bus and they left the bus in front of the goal.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Good morning to the Sunday Blether team. How are we all doing? I know it's nearly afternoon. I do apologise. We didn't have any technical difficulties for me today. That's not why we're late. Just a couple of things came up and we just had to push it back. Of course, I didn't know that you could change the time on the start button on the bus, Bhoycie. So everybody thought we were coming on at 11 and it should have been 15:15. So do apologise, but wouldn't be a Sunday Blether without us being late for some reason, Bhoycie.
No, it's true, mate. You can't get the staff these days, man. Do you know what I mean? Just can't get the fucking staff, mate.
Aye, well, they don't turn up. We've got no judge today. We've got no film. Is there a game on the day that they're going to or something? I don't understand.
I don't know what it's all about, man. I think they hear I'm coming on and they just go, fuck that, see you later.
Well, the boss is
you know, it's BMP's just me and Terry now. Just only me and Terry ever. Nobody else wants to join us at all. I genuinely think it's me. I think they can be bothered with me.
Well, we're not alone though. Because the real face that runs the place, Regan, he's on camera from the start today. Regan, you're only on for a small window, but we've got you. I mean, it costs us a fortune to get him on. We've had to start shrinking the time that he's on because we can't afford them anymore. Regan, how you doing, mate?
I'm not bad. I would have been on for longer, David, but I waited for a taxi for 3 hours for a 5-minute journey on Friday because of some situation, but yeah, so that's why I'm not on for long, but I'll be here looking forward to the game today. Celtic, I think we're going to win 3-1. I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to seeing Michael Beale actually bealing after the game, because I think that guy talks more, I mean, I don't know what he talks, but he talks something. He talks the same amount of shit that I talk on a Sunday. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to the game, David. I'm revved up, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys for about half an hour. And I look forward to it.
I would have you on long. Another reason to be on longer is if we could get this bus on time. But you know, it is what it is. We like to be fashionably late. Right, before we get started. Remember to like, share, subscribe, become a Bhoycie Bus member. All our content is free, but this becoming a Bhoycie Bus member helps the wheels turn a little bit quicker. Big shout out to piesports.com. Get bus 1888 in the little wee window down at the bottom, and you'll get yourself a tasty 12.5% off. Is that everything, Bhoycie? We got anything new to add to that? It'll be all good. Can we fire on?
I'm posting out the shirts on Monday.
There we go.
The shirts are out on Monday. Breaking news,
Big
guys.
news, big
We
news.
do appreciate your patience.
It will take a wee bit of time.
Yeah, it does get, Bhoycie's a one-man band when it comes to getting that kind of stuff sorted. But he's to be fair, you've done unreal to get that sorted, Bhoycie, on your own. Today, we're mainly going to focus, obviously, on today's game. So we've got the Celtic versus Rangers build-up. Possible returns for Hatate, Jota and Abada. We've not got the lineup yet, but I don't know if they'll be out by the time we finish the show, but hopefully we'll see it soon. Kyogo has a 30-year record in sight. Kyogo Furuhashi exit fears addressed by Ange Postecoglou.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig, my man. Celtic keep close tabs on informed 25-year-old attacker and much, much more. So let's get cracking. All right. So obviously we've got a big game today, Bhoycie. Possible returns for Hatate, Jota and Abada. Do we expect to see all three in the starting lineup today, if fit and firing?
As you can imagine, I have never, ever once said on this channel I am in the know, David, or in the Logue. I am neither. I'm very much, that sounded weird, but I'm very, Jesus, I'm very, I've definitely never been in the Logue. That was his nickname. Oh, it's all going wrong. Anyway,
I'm blushing.
What a start, man. But I do get, obviously, the odd message here and there from no one portraying to be at Celtic or anything like that, just folk who say they know folk and all that sort of thing. So if my sources are
I didn't know you spoke to Don Mackay, Russell.
Aye, but tins of biscuits and that. Oh, aye, all the time, mate. But I got a message this morning saying that both Jota and Hatate do start, as does Matt O'Reilly.
There you go. You're putting your neck in the line, Russell. So if they both don't start, then everybody can blame you.
Everyone can blame me. I'll not reveal my sources, But put it this way, it's no Murdo McLeod or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just a mate on Twitter who sounds quite convincing. So I'm like, sound.
Well, if he said it, it's definitely true. It's one of them ones. You're like, well, he said it, so it must be true. Regan, if Hatate just come, if he is fit, does he come straight into the starting lineup for you? Is it a risk to start him if they've been out for 6 weeks, or are you quite happy to take the risk and feel like he'll do just fine?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Scottish League Cup final last year, Kyogo was out for 4 to 6 weeks, and he played in that game and scored 2 brilliant goals. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ange throws him right in, especially because I've been at the last 2 home games, and I think if you look at it, I'm sorry, but Aaron Moy's been towing a caravan. You've got Matt O'Reilly, who's not been playing very well. So I think real Hatate, I think it would be daft if we don't play him, because I think he brings a whole tempo to the starting lineup. I don't know if you guys agree, because I think the tempo of the Celtic starting lineups dropped for the past 2 weeks.
I think there's got to be two sides we look at it, right? And the way I see it is, has Hatate not been playing the last 2 games because he's been wrapped up for this one? If that's the case, play him, because it's part of a strategy, it's a plan. If Hatate's not been able to get fit up until, say, just a couple of days ago and has been training fully in that time, then it's a risk, because he might not be up to speed. But the vibe I get is that this was all part of the strategy. You look at the last 2 games. Was it Kilmarnock and Motherwell? Was that the last 2 games? Motherwell, definitely.
It was. It was
Kilmarnock, aye. And if you look at that on paper, if you're playing Championship Manager or Football Manager and you're going, big one coming in 2 weeks, you're not going to risk your player at 80%, 90% fitness in those two fixtures when the league's already wrapped up. So if that's the case, then I don't think Hatate's a risk at all based on his fitness, David. But if it were the case that he's been rushed back for it and he has actually been genuinely injured up until this week, then yeah, I see the concern there. So we'll find out soon.
But then
I'd certainly start him. I think if he's, like you said, if he's been wrapped up with this game in mind,
Yeah.
knowing fine well the league's done, I would certainly suggest that if he is fit, we definitely start him. But Regan, who does he start alongside in that midfield for you? You just mentioned that you don't think that O'Reilly's really been in brilliant form. To be honest, I felt like obviously he got a bit of boost of confidence with his 2 goals against Kilmarnock, and he was once again involved in a goal against them in the last fixture. I certainly would like to see him start again today.
Yeah, I would play him again because of his previous record, but I think overall this season he's not been great. I think he will be one of the players that Celtic look to offload along with David Turnbull. But I do think that he will start
We've got
today.
the judge in today. We've got the judge in the house today.
I think he will start alongside McGregor and Rio Hatate. I think the other thing we need to caveat that with, I think in terms of Rio, I think we obviously need to play him because as much as we don't like to admit it, the rest of the season is basically a time where Celtic have already 13 points clear and they've won the league. So this is our biggest game of the season.
Can't disagree with you there. I mean, I disagree that I think Celtic would be looking to offload O'Reilly in the summer, but I can't disagree with anything else that you've said. It's certainly the biggest game of the season now, so play your strongest team if possible, Bhoycie.
I don't see any reason why not. I think with this fixture, such as there's more to it as well than just making a Scottish Cup final for the millionth time, right? Do you know what I mean? As much as I don't also subscribe to trebles growing on trees and being the expectancy level we should always have because we've won so few in our history. Do you know what I mean? I think they became a wee bit almost run of the mill. Sort of run of the mill of late has been a credit to those Celtic teams that have achieved that, as opposed to it being because trebles are something that are the standard and that should be easy to win because we did it so few and far between before. But notwithstanding that, I think when you go into a game against them, there's narratives every single time. The narrative this time is do not give them any oxygen for this summer. And I think right now you could have them literally having the meltdown of all meltdowns if this were to go the way we know Celtic's capable of doing. I think what we've seen at Celtic Park was a team very much laid out at Celtic Park to try and stop Celtic. This is coming from their side. But they didn't actually have any answers when they had the ball. I know they got the 2 goals for Tavernier, whatever, but trust me, when they had the ball and they were very effective at winning it back and nullifying it, albeit still. But I feel that for them, if that tactic doesn't go right, then we will run all over them. And if that's the case, this could turn into a 2, 3, 4 goal sort of win. And if it's that, then for me, they go into the summer in a really difficult position, not just for the manager, but for the fans' point of view, season books, the lot. I think they'll be in free fall.
I think as well as because there's been this talk that Michael Beale's he's been in and transformed the club. So the fact that Giovanni Frank-Bonker's got them to a European final and a Scottish Cup final, surely Michael Beale has to be measured on that as well. He has to be measured on getting them to a final and actually putting tangible success, as people like to say. So, yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for them today is it's not just a case of we need to beat Celtic. It is, I think, if Rangers get beat today, I think they'll be calling for Michael Beale's head. That's what I think, because at the end of the day, Michael Beale was talking about this. If I was in, the league table wouldn't lie and things would be different. Well, Michael, I'm sorry to say to you, but you think Michael's had the majority of the games.
They'd be third in his own table.
It's mad, I know.
Well, obviously we've looked at who's possibly coming back for us today. Apparently, Rangers return for Goldson and Kent and Arfield, but Raskin is Rascan.
Rascan, have you noticed that recently? Rascan. I don't know where that comes from. It must make him like 5% better.
He's possibly out, and Jack is also to miss today. So obviously Goldson, if he gets back into that starting lineup, does that make things a little bit more difficult for Celtic today?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, the rules might change. He might be allowed to use his hands again. Have an extra goalkeeper in
That's true.
the box
Two
today,
keepers
which could make
it
things a
harder.
bit more difficult for us. So who do you expect to shine for us today, boys? Is there anyone in particular that you see really shining in this game? You know, could it be a coming of age for O today, or we're going to Jota just going to outshine everybody as he always does at this fixture?
Yeah, I think it's the two guys that the obvious ones that will be the key. I think it'll be Jota and Kyogo. I think Kyogo has 5 in his last 3. Jota has 2 absolute brilliant finishes against them at Celtic Park to his name this season. I think he's the man for the big occasion. Kyogo found his bollocks at Ibrox and got that equalising goal, and I think that was a massive thing for him, because when it came to our nearest rivals, he hadn't scored against them up till then. He's now scoring them at free will, scoring against them at free will. And as for Jota, he's been the man for the bigger games since he joined. And that has been in Europe, both in the Europa League last season, Champions League this year, he got 2 goals. And this fixture, he scored last season, he scored twice this season. He, to me, is the one you look to who doesn't lose sight of who he is. He's acutely aware, David, of his qualities and his abilities. And this fixture doesn't faze someone like Jota one bit. As for the wee fella, Kyogo, not that wee fella. As for Kyogo, Kyogo to me is just someone that's, he's a bit of a confidence player at times. I just think folk maybe don't see it. And I think what we can now guarantee you is, after that Ibrox goal, he's now looking at them as easy pickings. And when he's feeling like that, that is pretty, actually be putting the shitters up them, because this boy knows where the goal is. And I actually think as well, without giving them too much fucking credit, but I do kind of feel as well that the goals he's scored against them between January and the end of this season is actually going to lead to him being more confident come the Champions League group stage next year as well.
Yeah, Regan Kyogo has a 30-year Celtic derby record in his sights. He could be the first player to do it since John Collins.
Right.
Do you see it being a possibility today? Do you reckon he'll break that record today?
I definitely do. I think I was speaking to Liam. I was speaking to Liam this morning from Canada, and he was telling me it's going to be 4-0. So I think Kyogo will definitely get a goal. I think he'll get possibly 2, because I think, as Russell says, now that Kyogo's got that mantra off his back that he can't score against Rangers, he's just got that notion to score, and I think he's got a little bit of Mr. Dembele in him right now, where he knows he can score on the big spectacles, and I think it'll be very good for Celtic, because I don't think Rangers have got many of those players, and I think if you look from the starting Celtic 11 players, I think we've got so many threats all straight along the park, and I think that can only do as well. One thing I do want to mention though, I think Joe Hart needs to be on his game today, because I think as much as folk don't like to criticise Hart, I think sometimes he plays the ball too much. He tries to play from the back.
We've seen it at Ibrox, Regan. Ibrox, that completely changed that game.
But is that Hart's fault, mate, or is that he's doing what he's been told?
I think it was just the instruction to him. He's followed to the letter, though, maybe of the law that Ange's setting it a wee bit too closely. I also think you are entrusted to use your own initiative at times, and I think he didn't do that there. Do you know what I mean? That was
We've seen him do it in the past. We've seen him do that in the past, Bhoycie. Like, he even, I'm pretty sure he ran over to the touchline and was like, "Look, I need to start clearing these balls. We're under the cosh here." I can't remember if it was a European game or not. I think it might have been. He kind of almost pulled rank a little bit and was like, "Look."
That's right. I know what you're talking about. I think Regan saying that was important, because the thing is, we can make mistakes, and everyone's going to make mistakes in the nature of the Celtic play, but you've got to learn from them. And I would like to think what happened at Ibrox that day with Joe Hart fanning about Regan, because it wasn't the instance, because we didn't actually concede a goal from it, but the whole momentum shift that occurred after it was undeniable. So we've got to learn from that.
You could feel it as well, even watching it through your television screen. I remember sitting with my pals and said, something's changed, and that they've got a lift for that. And of course, they went on and scored not long after, or certainly turned up the heat a little bit in that game. Of course, we managed to get the late equaliser. I've got a question here for you, Regan. Could we be in for a scrappy game due to the form of both teams. Obviously, we dropped points against Motherwell. Maybe could just say that we took our eyes off the ball a little bit. We were going through the motions a little bit. Whereas Rangers are just obviously, I think they've conceded the league now, hence why they just didn't turn up either against Aberdeen. Take nothing away from Aberdeen. I thought they played brilliantly, but they've conceded that league, and I think that might have played a part in last week's result. So does that? This is something or nothing, as Jono said on the Tuesday ticket.
It's a good line, that.
It is a great line. It's a really good line.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jono's intros are getting better. They're absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think he's getting better than Hugh on the Clyde One phone, and he's just getting really good at it.
He is. Yeah, I think that line, though, rings. The reason it's good is because there's so much truth in it, you know? This isn't a case of if they win the Scottish Cup, Celtic's in disarray here and suddenly the chasing pack. Do you know what I mean? Let's be real here. Rangers win the Scottish Cup, it's the consolation cup for them because it's just to stop us getting a treble. It is not all or nothing, it is something or nothing for them. I mean, he's even better than me at saying it.
And I think, as David was saying there, I think the important thing is it probably is going to be a scrappy game, but I think that'll probably suit us because if they want to fight and stuff like that, we've seen that Raskin tried to have a wee square go at McGregor was right back up, right at him. So I think Celtic are very equipped to go both ways. Celtic can play very good football, but they can also get involved in a scrap as well. And we've got people like Johnson as well who really thrives on that as well, as we've seen the last few weeks.
Well, Bhoycie, we've got the Rangers cheerleaders in the media this week, as always. And Kevin Thompson demands that Rangers rough up Celtic as he reveals Beale's master plan to expose flaw in Ange's style.
This is a guy fucking in charge of kids, like a kids academy. And that's what this is why like Scottish football will not go forward with Muppets like this being heralded as the future of coaching. Do you know what I mean? When really he just reverts to type, doesn't he? It's not about first touch, it's not about technique at all. It's not about trying to enhance the product, it's blood, thunder, staunchness. It always will be the way.
Regan, he said, Ange Postecoglou is not going to change. He is going to play. He might not have the ball boys throwing the ball as quick. Right enough with being at Hampden, but he's going to have that front football. They are relentless. I do think that the Celtic team tires. Normally the game is buried and they can slow it down. A bit conserve a bit of energy. I just think Rangers like the game against Celtic in extra time, and they need to go to the well. It's a cliche. It may be a cliche or not, but they need to dig deep. They need to rough them up, and they are not overly big team. They are not an overly big team, Celtic. They're a very technical and fast, nimble team. You need to play to your strengths. I'm not so sure Rangers have the makeup in their team to go toe-to-toe and really bully Celtic. So Mick is going to have a wee cute bits and try to exploit different things, which translates to snap them, bully them, beat them up.
I think from Rangers' point of view, I think he's probably spot on because that's what they're told. That's what they're told. Probably try and get a set piece from a corner and probably get a penalty because they could get a penalty in most games. And Joe Hart's been hopeless at saving them. That was one thing I said to when I spoke to Graham in Canada this morning. I said I hope to God it doesn't go to penalties because Joe Hart is not very good at saving them. But yeah, I think for Rangers' point of view, David, they'll be home for a Tavernier free kick from somewhere or a corner kick. But I think in terms of Kevin Thompson, I don't think he's a guy that I can take fully seriously. That's a guy that calls football fruity, stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I don't know if I could take him seriously. Obviously, and I don't really know why everybody calls Michael Beale Mick. It's like he's from London. He's a Cockney guy. Mick from London. You know what I mean? Like just call him Michael. I don't understand why they all go on this Mick. But anyway, I think from Rangers' point of view, I think the club's in a bad place, and I think if Celtic get the victory, that'll only cement it for me because they've got a CEO that got this record deal for Castore. I mean, and I think they've got 2 qualifiers that need to get through, and I think with the squad he's building, he's talking about bringing in is it some guy from QPR. So I don't think they'll be shopping in very good waters, and I think for Celtic this can only be good because we spoke about it last week, David. See, in terms of Ange, I think Ange is the kind of guy that goes, Michael Beale thinks he's going to do well against me. Well, I'm going to show him, and I think it was all Michael Beale talking up. I think Chris Sutton and Alan McCoy spoke about it this week on that video thing where they said Michael Beale's comment when he said "lucky old Ange." That inspired Ange, and that would have been something that Walter Smith or even someone that knows Rangers would have never said back in the day. He would have never said that about Tommy Burns because he would have said that there would have been more respect. And I think in terms of that would have probably fired up. That would have probably fired Ange up to go, well, I'm going to show Michael what he's all about. And I still think in terms of Michael Beale, he's got a long way to go. And I think the Celtic team is only going to get better because as much as we like to slag Peter Lawwell and stuff, I think Peter Lawwell's been involved in these transfer dealings because he's got his boy there, he's got Ange there, and I think Celtic are in a very good place in terms of recruitment. And I know I keep going on about it, but I don't think the John McGinn saga will happen again because Ange's got too much credit in the bank now because he's got into 2 Champions League qualifications. He's going to be in Europe again, and Peter Lawwell knows, right? As much as we like to say on the mainstream media are saying about Ange going away, I'm sure the club's looking at Ange, and Peter Lawwell's well aware if he doesn't support Ange and back Ange, then Ange is going to go.
Well, see, I'm looking at the comments here, and Alan Robertson, he's said, let's hope it doesn't go to extra time. Is that something that worries you a little bit? Kevin Thompson, obviously, he's cheerleaded that hopefully Rangers can take it to extra time. Does that concern you? If does he have a point that we may tire if it does go to extra time? We've seen it in the past that we did struggle last time it went to extra time against them.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about the last time round because if my memory serves me right, they'd played a European game 4 days before as well.
All the way to penalties. So yeah,
we did the whole week off. So that was a weird one. That on Kevin Thompson, this is a guy who constantly needs to remind you when he's on open goal that Si, I'm a really good guy, Si, and ask anyone, I'm a really good guy. See, if you need to tell everyone you're a really good guy, you're a prick. Guaranteed it. Guarantee it. Right? That is Kevin Thompson. Nobody cares, mate. Honestly, whatever you think about football, nobody actually cares. This is the guy that left Kelly Hearts because he definitely thought he was getting a job in the Premier League. 100%. And funny enough, he's still not back in work. So he gets dug out for these sort of fixtures. I mean, the other thing with the media narrative, I'll answer your question in a wee second. The other thing with the media narrative that happens is you've got the actual brass neck of these bastards coming out. Mick Beale, Michael Beale, whatever you want to call him. And Ali McBeal, nobody cares, right? Because see, when it comes down to it, he is sitting there and he is literally with a brass neck saying, I think the people who are criticising Rangers right now like the sound of their own voice too much. I mean, if that's not beyond parody, I don't know what is. Like, he's saying that. Like, of all the people in the world who could say that, right? And I just think that's where you know he gets away with murder. He's getting no pushback from the media at all. If he even feels at any second confident enough to say, I think the doubters actually like the sound of their own voice too much. Anyone with half a brain should be going, it'll be funny, Nicky, but we ask you one question at the presser. Nobody else gets a question because you just answer it for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? And now you're telling us. I don't know. I just think when it comes to the media, that to me sums up how Galaxy is with it. That he can get away with saying something as I say it. You know, that's Partridge levels. Do you know what I mean? Liking the sound of your own voice is the criticism.
Levels.
Aye, nobody will challenge him on it. As for the extra time thing, though. We'll wait and see. I mean, I can't imagine it going as badly as it did this time last year.
No, I don't think so either. I think we've learnt from that the confidence is high against them just now. I think the likes of Kyogo, he's scoring for fun at Hampden in these big occasions. Everything's pointing to for me certainly, nothing to be too concerned about. Naturally, Regan, I get the butterflies for, like, I'm sure everybody does. There's always that little bit of doubt that starts to slip into the back of my mind, but I'm fairly confident. I'm fairly confident we'll get the job done. And those that I've spoken to from a Rangers perspective that have come into the shop, not one of them is confident. Not a single one of them is confident.
No, I think the only person that's confident is Michael Beale, because he's been writing out his script for the last few weeks. I think it also shows you that Michael Beale doesn't really care, and the fact that he was at Ibrox Stadium when Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was still in a job. For me, that stinks of not a very nice person, to be honest, because I don't know why he was there. He pretended that he was going to meet Rangers fans in the Audion Tavern. There was no way that he was there to just meet the fans. He was there to meet the board. There'll never be anyone that'll tell me anything different. Moving on to Celtic, I think that if Celtic played a normal game and they play well, then Celtic will win the game. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's always a small percentage of you that thinks Rangers could do very well, but I think when you've got Alfredo Morelos, I think last week he was absolutely honking, so hopefully he does that again this week. And I think in terms of these next couple of fixtures, these are going to be very important, because I think Ange Postecoglou is already a big player in terms of all over the world, in terms of people knowing about him. But I'm telling you, if Ange Postecoglou wins a treble, he'll go down into Celtic folklore again, like Brendan, like Neil Lennon, and that can only be good for him, because as people were saying before, nobody knew about Ange, but look what he's done. He's done an incredible job, and we need to pay tribute to what he's done, because I said this last week. I think in terms of his record as well, a lot of the experts from Japan, as much as I don't call them experts, they did say the second year under Ange is always better, and they were proven to be correct, because 33 games, I think Celtic's got 30 wins and two draws and 1 defeat. So I think in terms of that, you need to say that as much as a lot of the games have not played the fast flowing football, we've managed to get the job done. And I think in terms of that as well, you need to remember that McGregor's been out for a long part of the season as well, and a lot of the players filled in as well. And I'm just looking forward to see what Ange can do, because I think if we go into that final against Inverness, we can still roll them. So it's a big opportunity for Ange.
Yes, well, let's get through the semi-final first. Bhoycie, how much is the crowd going to play a part in today's game? Celtic has reminded fans that the use of pyrotechnics at the stadium is strictly forbidden, and
good luck with that.
I know. As this is a high-profile fixture taking place in a public space, the club must follow strict safety regulations. The use of pyrotechnics, including flares, smoke bombs, fireworks, and other summer devices that will be used today, can be extremely are not permitted within Scottish football. What is it such a massive deal? I mean, I understand the safety concerns, but I mean, this doesn't seem to be an issue in other leagues. They always big up these other leagues that you see in Argentina and Turkey, and where they have all these pyrotechnics going off. It creates such an amazing atmosphere. We've been known for putting on unbelievable displays at Hampden. I imagine we'll see another one today, despite the clubs trying to put it off. Does this play a massive part in the whole the outlook of the game for you, Bhoycie?
I mean, if it were me playing, genuinely, I think, not that I can play football to that sort of levels, all right? But I mean, I think in any sort of sport, particularly in this fixture, I would definitely want half of it filled with the animals there. Definitely. I think that spurs you on. I think that sort of environment, if you ever wanted to be a footballer in life, it's because you get the opportunity to play in that sort of fixture. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want.
Yep.
So for me, I think it's an enhancement that you've got the 50-50 split. As for the pyrotechnics and stuff, they're going to happen anyway. That will make no two ways. I think if we look back at the League Cup final, what the Celtic fans were trying to do was completely smoke out the area for McGregor, because once we swapped halves at half time, and I think they were just trying to make visibility conditions absolutely impossible, hence what's led to this statement, right? Because they know there's going to be pyro, but what they're saying is, for the love of God, do not do what you did last time. That was ridiculous.
It was wild, wasn't it?
Aye. And it's definitely a tactic, because if you remember, the 2-1 League Cup final against Hibs, where Kyogo gets the 2 goals, we did a very similar thing at half time in that as well. Who's that?
Oh, who's that, Regan?
Who's that? Is that the Polis?
I've heard about the pyro.
Hey, Regan's let the pyro. Regan's letting off the fireworks in the house.
we've had a noise complaint coming from the back garden, Regan.
Sorry, guys.
Bit of fireworks away, Regan.
Don't worry about that. Nobody cares about stuff like that. It's all good. Aye, but very quickly as well, 295 people watching live, so a big thanks for all you mad bastards watching us. How many phones you got, Regan? 3? Hey, where's your secretary when you need her?
So it's just me phoning him just to wait for. It's not really though. Let's move on. I know Regan is needing to head off soon, so we'll get through a couple of more talking points quickly. Just go back to the lineups. They're not out yet, but is there anyone at all, Regan? Anyone at all in that Rangers potential starting lineup that causes you any concern today?
I'm trying to think. Probably Cantwell, because I've watched the last few games and he seems to do a little bit extra that I quite like. But I
think worried about break out into dance. You worried that he'll maybe hit his eye out doing his robot dance and stuff like that?
No, but yeah, I think he's a bit the only player, because I've seen I've listened to a lot of the forums, and they're all saying about Tillman's a £10 million player and Rangers should get him for £5 million. I've watched Tillman for the last 3 games against Celtic and he's done absolutely nothing. I've been in the stadium for the 4-0 game when Giovanni brought him on, and I thought this guy's just drifted out of the game. But what I do find interesting, I watch with you guys as well, that this is potentially Alan McGregor, Brian Kent and Alfredo Morelos' last game in Scottish football. So this would be quite fun to see them go off in a swan song, and
we got a chant from the Celtic fans today if everything's going well. If he gets subbed off, they might get a wee chant going.
Aye.
I mean, look at Alex Subsey. I nearly shat myself there. 1,967. I think it's like Thailand dollars or something. I was like,
oh my God.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Enjoy the rest of the show, lads. I'm away.
I'm away in a holiday season later on.
Thank you, Alex Subsey. I've got no idea how much 1,967 Thailand. I don't even know what the currency is in Thailand, but I like it. Thank you so much, mate.
I
was going to say, in terms of danger men, the thing is with Tavernier, I mean, need to be aware of it, is you cannot give sloppy free kicks away like we did, and give them that opportunity now. Once the free kick's taken, I think there is an argument at the time. It's down the middle. It's not in the corner enough. Joe Hart should be saving it. But let that be a lesson. Whether you're on the fence that you think Joe Hart, the side of the fence where you think Joe Hart should have saved it, or whether you're on the side of the fence you think Tavernier could score it.
Yep.
Both lead to an outcome that he is a danger from set pieces. Don't give them an excuse.
No. I want to ask you guys a question. Did you guys watch the semi-final yesterday?
No, I was working yesterday. I didn't see it.
Right, well, did you manage to see the penalty? It was an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
No, I can't say I did, mate. I've not seen anything at all. I couldn't even tell you.
Right, so
what was his final score? Was it 3? I know it was 3-0.
3-0 to Inverness, right? So let me just say, the boy crossed it in for Inverness, and the Falkirk player, the ball strikes him, but he can't move it away, and the referee goes straight to the screen and gives the penalty. And even Billy Dodd said to Viaplay after the game, he says that's not a penalty, but he says I'll take it for his semi-final. There needs to be, I think today the referee needs to have a strong game, because if a particular club gets a penalty straight away, then this could, you know what it's like, swings and roundabouts, it could cause momentum in the game. And I think in terms of that, I thought it was a disgrace yesterday for Falkirk because those players have worked so hard to get in that final semi-final, and then they get that decision like that against them. I just hope that Wally Collum has a very strong game today because VAR is a disgrace, and I'm not going to have anything for it because it's a disgrace. I mean, I don't know how I could possibly see a penalty in that.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've seen dodgy penalties given that are difficult to explain.
We've
Why
got
are
to
you concerned about the? On you go.
We've got to execute a game plan. If we execute a game plan, the VAR stuff will be there and it'll be a bone of contention, it'll be a talking point, but it will not affect the outcome.
No,
that's the most important thing. If we stick to our strategy and we play to our strengths and play to the level that we know we can, then that is definitely going to end up in the result we want. If we dwell on VAR decisions and it becomes what's changed the game, that means Celtic didn't play particularly well, in my opinion. That's just and that's me trying to be brutal. Just what it says as well about Alex Subsey's point, which I kind of brushed over. If Celtic win 5-1 today, he's going to multiply his donation that he's made to the bus by 10 for any chosen charity. So
there
how
you
cool
go.
is that? So that would be, I think someone worked out it's £46, the $1,967, which is some incredible generosity, by the way.
Thank you very much.
That's crazy nice. But that would mean, if we're right, if I'm reading the comments right, I've not checked it, but around over £400 for a charity. That'd be sensational. That'd be absolutely sensational. So thanks, Alex, for that. Boy in LA, best Celtic podcast. I'm always in the catch-up, but I'm up early for the scalping today. Keep it up, lads. Love it. I just feel there's something about the VAR thing that annoys me, right? And I do think I'm guilty of it as much as anyone, but you're almost looking for it at times. Like, you're wanting to have that bitchiness about it and go, see, those referees, see what I mean? That's not balanced, that's not fair, that's not right, that's not just poor standards, that's against Celtic agenda. And whilst there's probably a lot of truth in a lot of these sort of presumptions that people have, I also feel we need to be going into these games looking at what we do first and foremost and focusing on that.
David, I'm just a bit surprised that you've got that top on there, the 10 in a row season. It's giving me bad memories there.
I do apologise. I did think that when I put it on. I was going to wear a particular hat, Bhoycie Bus shirt. However, I thought we'd go for the home kit, as the boss man suggested. We'd get the home kit on. So there's a theme going on today at the stadium, and of course
It's going to look great.
It's the first one that came out of the drawer, and yes, it brings bad memories, but it's still, I like it. It's a nice shirt. I do particularly like the one the Bhoycie's got on. It reminds me of a certain Gary Hooper. Is that the 2010 season, 2010-11 season?
I tell you who it reminds me of. Biram Kyle.
Ah, yes, the Tiger in the midfield. He was a class player.
Yep.
Regan, it's 12 o'clock, mate. You were letting me know that you've been having a show off at 12. Is there anything you want to say before you go? I mean, you can stay on as long. You can stay on longer if you want. It's just I'm keeping in mind the time for you, mate. Alan would. David has jinxed us. Come on, Alan.
Oh, don't say that, Alan.
Come on, Alan.
David, get that top off now.
No,
not like we're there. No. No, David, I think
I've been in the Logue once already today.
Subscribe to my OnlyFans page right here. You get plus 1888. Get 12.5% off my OnlyFans. Not the only pies available on mysports.com. On that note, Regan.
Yeah, I think it's been a very good show, and thank you for everybody listening. I'm looking forward to the game. I think it'll be 3-1 to Celtic. I think Kyogo will score 2 and Jota will score 1. And I think it'll be a swan song for Alan McGregor, Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on PMP as well. So, everybody have a good day, and thank you for having me on, guys.
Oh, brilliant, Regan. I've not had a good conversation with you about the Celtic in ages, especially not on camera. So, no, I appreciated your company, man. That was brilliant.
No problem, and I might be available to come on. You're doing a Monday club at 12:30. I might be able to come on tomorrow.
Aye. We'll be doing one tomorrow at 12:30, 100%. So if
I
you're
might
free,
be on then, aye.
well, it won't be 12:30. I'll probably go 1:30. Didn't want to upset the wee
No
fella
problem.
too much. Didn't want
Oh,
around. Didn't want him to give me a paper cut or something.
it'd be quite good if you could get Don Mackay on as well, Russell. That'd be great.
I'll try that, mate. I'm working on it. We've got bigger guests than that coming on the bus soon, don't you?
Oh,
worry.
definitely. Oh, definitely. Right, guys. See you
Cheers,
later on.
Regan.
See you later on, guys.
Boycie, we've got a little bit of time left. You want to keep going? We've got 296 people on the bus just now.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean,
We've
these
got a little
games lead to conversation, and I think right now they lead to a lot of optimism in the support, David. And one of the things that we've got right now is a manager. I was wanting to bring this up with you because see, when you go into these games, you've got managers that are emotional managers, and then you've got managers that are just thinkers. And I quite like both sides when they're Celtic managers. That is, I like the fact Neil Lennon's, I think the fact Neil Lennon's heart is on his sleeve is something very endearing about that to me, and you like it. The problem we've got, not that we've got, that they've got is Mickey Beale's very much kids on. He's the thinking manager, whereas I actually think he is an emotional manager. I don't think he is, but he's trying to play a game of looking like a thinker and looking like, a man of wisdom and experience, where the reality is he's far from it. He is up against who he's trying to replicate. And that is the problem in terms of, I don't mean like try to be Ange, I just mean in terms of the persona, in terms of that style of manager being a thinker. And I think when it comes to Postecoglou, the one thing we can guarantee is no decisions he makes today for the starting lineup, midway through the game, whether it's a penalty shootout, the 5 penalty takers, none of them will be based on his heart ruling his head. I do think that gives us a big advantage, because I do think the guy across, because he's got so many thoughts going on at once, because he can't stop talking, it must go round the houses, mate, every decision he makes, you know what I mean? I think a lot of the time, he will have moments during the game where he goes to make a decision and thinks, how much credit will I get for that if I make that, though? If I make that one, imagine the headlines. I don't think he can help it. And I think emotions will get the better of him.
How long's Ange been in Managerial? Over 25 years, I think, right? Do you remember that infamous interview that he had in Australia? It went viral years and years ago, and obviously I think it got brought up again when he joined Celtic, when he was a far more emotional manager early into his career, and it almost ruined him because he let his heart rule his head in that interview of a slight bit of criticism, perhaps spoke a little bit too much, didn't really accept that the results in the Australian national side, or whatever team it was he was with, was purely down to his decision making, and he couldn't fathom that it was his fault. 25 years on from now, he's learned from those mistakes. That's how far behind Mickey Beale is in Ange when it comes to management. Like you said, Mickey's very Mickey lad. He's very emotional. He won't take criticism. He won't take blame for the mistakes that he has made this season, when he's had more games in charge of Rangers than Van Bronckhorst did, and he has to learn from them, and he is trying to do it on a fast track course of being this top tier manager. When in reality, you could probably count as many games he's played on one hand, or games he's managed on one hand. Like in the grand scheme of things, he's barely been a manager, and he's trying to act as if he's a manager of 25 years experience. And the mask slips at every press conference, and I think that Ange has that massive advantage over him and can use that to his strengths when they butt heads today in the game. Like you said, Ange's decision making is already in place, and it's all done from a tactical point of view. Whereas
I don't mind if he gets decisions wrong, Ange, because I know what he's done at the time wasn't based on anything other than what he thought was right for the team at that moment in time. People are going to get decisions wrong. You're not going to get every single decision right. No. Whereas the thing that conflicts with the guy across him in the dugout is I think he'll make decisions to. We've seen it in his interviews. The hell of that self-preservation that he's got, and there will be then naturally when you self-preserve all the time, then there also must be an ego big enough to go. But if you make that decision and it pays off, how good are you going to look? And see if you're factoring that in any of your decision making, you're in soapy bubble. And I just like the fact that come the end of the game, no matter what the score is, we'll know every decision that came from our manager was done from the right place, from a footballing prism. Whereas I think there is one of ego, emotion, and desperation that will influence the footballing decisions made by the other guy in the dugout. And that, for me, is a very important advantage that Celtic carry, as long as the many others that are on the park as well.
Quickly, just how do you feel O will do today if he gets on the pitch? Do you think he'll have learnt his lesson from the last, the final, when he came on and he tried to put a marker down, almost make a name for himself in the wrong way when he came on, and I think he was obviously a bit overzealous, a bit keen. Do you reckon he'll do all right today? I think he can cause Rangers a lot of problems with his physicality, and he's a completely different striker to Kyogo. He poses a completely different problem that whoever's going to be in the starting lineup, to the Goldson and Suter or that Davis, like they're completely different players to deal with. Do you reckon he's going to make an impact today, or has the ability to make an impact today?
I think this is what tells you though that the Giakoumakis really must have, or his agent must have pissed Ange off big time. Because see, when you actually look at the question you're asking, the reality is we were in a position where we could have had both O and Giakoumakis on the bench today, and had a couple of options. One being a bona fide goal scorer, already proven it in this league. Do you know what I mean? And then the other being your more of the one settling in, shall we say, between January and the end of the season, with a view to hitting the ground running next year, and then sell Giakoumakis in the summer. So what it tells me is he must have really pissed Ange off, because I do think what we've seen from O so far has been flashes, and it's not flashes you need when you're playing against your rivals in a cup semi-final. Albeit, I know Giakoumakis, was a bit of a moments man as well, to be honest. But I just hope the occasion doesn't get the better of O. I hope O. It's difficult because he's so young. I just think it would be brilliant if he had a wee bit more patience with himself, which I suppose there's a nice quality in that, right? Do you know what I mean? Because he's just trying really hard and he wants to do brilliant, and I love all that stuff. But I think, and maybe it just comes with experience, and it's unfair when he's only 21 years old or 22 years old. But I think he's probably put an expectancy level on his own head that he doesn't need to. And if he just takes the shackles off a wee bit, he will be better for it. If you've got someone that's trying too hard, again, that'll lead to decisions like Mickey Beale makes, where emotion then overcomes, what you're actually on the park to do. Ideally, if I'm honest, O doesn't need to play a decisive part today. He comes on and he gets the minutes because the game's already done. We've got the boy up front to cause them the problems. We've got Kyogo in situ, in position and in form. I think he is the Player of the Year elect. I think he will get the most votes from his peers. And I do feel that today will be, when O comes on, I'm hoping not a decisive change, but one of luxury that we can afford to make.
I totally agree. I think if he just relaxes a little bit and just allow the game to, just to play your game, enjoy it. Don't be too tense. Don't be stressing out that the ball's not coming to you, because you see a lot. He doesn't. He's not much of a. I doubt he's got a great poker face, because he's screaming and he's pointing at wanting the ball. Whereas you can almost forget Kyogo's on the pitch because of his movement. Whereas O's he's a bit subtle as a brick to the face. He's like, give me the ball, and then it ends up going wide. And then obviously he's screaming for the ball as much as he does. He's much easier to track than a Kyogo. But yeah, hopefully if he comes on today, it's a case of just getting the minutes in the legs and hopefully rubbing some salt in the wounds. Talking about our star striker, Bhoycie, there's a lot of talk about perhaps losing him in the summer. Kyogo Furuhashi's Celtic exit fears are addressed by Ange. The Celtic manager says he won't fret over the possibility of losing Kyogo Furuhashi in the summer. He's understood to be attracting interest from English and German clubs, and as a result, it seems inconceivable that the 28-year-old will not attract bids in the coming months. Rebuffing such offers could be complicated. I don't want to subscribe to that. I understand, obviously, a player with 29 goals already this season, our star man, is going to attract suitors from English and German clubs that are known to tend to go for Japanese players. But I just think Kyogo's in it for the long haul. I think he's really happy here. He's playing under a manager that he loves playing for. The only way I could see him leaving is if Ange was to leave and took him with him. To be honest, I think he's quite happy being the star man at Celtic and loving his football right now. I just can't see the move happening.
Well, I think what we need to accept is it'd be absolutely remiss of English football Premier League clubs aren't looking at someone like Kyogo, right? That would be, to me, that's just ridiculous, because I see some of the guys these chairmen pay 20s, 30s, millions pounds for, and believe you me, I don't think he would cost as much as that, firstly, and I think he's better than a lot of the guys that have cost that sort of figure. So it'd be ridiculous if they're not looking at him. You've got the good thing when you sign players that are in their late 20s or mid to late 20s when he joined. He was 26 when he joined, same age as Henrik, almost to the month, I think only 3 months out in terms of age when they joined Celtic. Henrik realised he was onto a good thing at Celtic because he was 28, 29 when these big links happened, similar to Kyogo. You're at a maturity level where you go, I'm not daft enough to always think the grass is going to be greener. Do you know what I mean? And I know that the adulation I get here might not be something, that I'm not actually going to get. I might just become a bit run-of-the-mill down there. It might become like, it's a bit meaningless. It's a bit soulless. Whereas this is something that gives me the Champions League football I want. But it'd be what? The second, third biggest home give Celtic win in that league. I just think he's looking to take, and he's got a manager that absolutely adores him. He's going to play every week. I don't know. I think from the Kyogo point of view, he's in a position where he's going to make a mature decision, not a desperate one. What I would say though is that doesn't mean he's not susceptible to go. I think there's someone saying in the chat there about Newcastle potentially. Hoops Boy says they would buy him at 28. I don't think 28 is particularly old. The point I'm making is I think from Kyogo's point of view, he's not going to be as giddy as what it looks like, for example, a Leo Labada might be to go into a Brighton, for example, right? Yeah. Because he's just seeing the EPL bright lights. Odsonne Edouard goes to Crystal Palace. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at these clubs really in terms of size and stature and meaning, and they're fuck all, right? No offence, but they are. They're absolutely nothing compared to Celtic, let's be real. And I think once you get to those late 20s in your career like Kyogo's at, he'll be making a more informed, balanced, wise, you could say, David, decision when it comes to his future. Do I think he could do the business down there, though? Hell yes. Absolutely he could.
Absolutely. Well, quickly before we wrap this up, we've got 335 people watching live. Hit that like button, guys. Okay, but Celtic keep close tabs on informed 25-year-old attacker. Celtic have scouted the AK Athens frontman Levi Garcia as they look to strengthen their attacking options. Garcia, who represents Trinidad and Tobago at international level, has been scintillating form this season and has garnered much acclaim from his contributions to AK Athens' impressive league campaign. 25-year-old who can operate on the middle and on the right, so keep that in mind. He's bagged 11 goals and 4 assists in 23 appearances this season in the Greek Super League. Obviously, a league that Ange probably keeps tabs on, being a Greek national, well, obviously Greek descent. I'm sure he managed in Greece for a little while in the second division. He's going to be keeping an eye on players. It's just another example of a player that you would never. Oh, okay, well, forget that. Forget about possible players. So let's look at players that are actually playing for Celtic today. Breaking news from David Ferguson himself.
Oh,
got the team: Joe Hart, Johnson, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, Hitati, O'Reilly, Jota, Maeda, Kyogo. Well, all I'll say is, Garcia, you're good luck getting in that starting lineup.
Absolutely. There's Hitati starts, as does Jota. If you were on the bus 40 minutes ago, I did exclusively reveal that was going to be the case,
Wow. Aye.
What can I say? ITK, mate. ITK.
ITB.
Big thank you to, I won't name their name, but big thanks to who tweeted me that this morning in a VDM. He said they will both start guaranteed. So he was right. He was right. Now I can use anytime he sends me a tweet. I'm going to have the confidence now just to break the news story so it looks like the bus is right in the know, David. But it's very exciting news. Again, like we were talking about earlier, this manager doesn't make emotional decisions. So it's not like, I love Hatate, so I'll play Hatate. This means he's fit enough to play, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And another thing, Awata, a player that he's used before, a guy he's brought in, a guy who's been on form lately, drops to the bench. It's not a case of, he's been playing well and he's one of my favourite players. I brought him here. I've used him in the past. He has to start. He's been dropped out. And under no fault of his own, that Hatate, who's obviously our star man in the midfield, is fit and fired and ready to go. So I'm excited to see what the result is at the end.
Is it Maeda playing instead of Abada, I take it?
It's Maeda. Abada's not even on the bench, mate.
So he's not made it. That's fair enough.
Abada's not on the bench. What does that say to you? Is he not fit, or is his mind elsewhere?
He's not. I don't even know if he's an insider GM. He's probably just winged it and sent me a message and knows I'm daft enough to repeat it, mate. To be honest, but I just think that Maeda's starting as well. He's a conundrum in himself. Dealing with folk like that. The thing is with Maeda, he's a pest, and he is a pest that you cannot take your eye off for a second. And by the way, another one we speak about. See, when it comes to confidence in these fixtures, get a goal against them, and you'll see that all change. So he did at Ibrox. And see his finish at Ibrox as well. Absolute ruthless. Which isn't always a term I think you can always sort of label Maeda with. I don't think he's always ruthless, David, to be honest. So the fact he had the composure to do that in that fixture, that leads you on to the next one, and the one after that, in a different mindset than what you maybe had before. I've got to say, I think when you're dealing with Jota's creativity, magic on the ball, levels to the game, I think Jota comes there with, I think, as good as anyone in the country, if not the best in the country. He's my favourite player, no doubt. Hatate comes, I think, with bags of ability. Again, you could argue the best in the country. Callum McGregor probably is the best in the country. And then you've got like the work rate and intensity of someone like Maeda on the other side, and it's like, where do you focus your attention? And this is what we've got to give them kudos to, is they got, well, not that I want to, but they did get it right in terms of what they did off the ball. They still conceded 3 goals, David, right? But if the guys we're talking about in our team are as good as what they are, and I believe that they are to be, then it's still going to be hard to stop us. Do you know what I mean? And if you want to land a punch, you're going to need to take a punch. So they had to at some point open up a wee bit. But I do think them off the ball is where you see the difference in mindset. I don't think we've done any work on what to do when Rangers have the ball. I'm sure we have. But in my mentality-wise, I'm like, we don't focus on that. We focus what we can do. And I think their game plan is very much about what we can do on the ball and how they stop it. And I think that gives you an insight into where everyone is acutely aware of the levels between the two teams.
Absolutely. Well, we've been on for just over an hour, Bhoycie. Will we wrap this up, or have you got anything else that you want to discuss? There's been a couple of changes to the platforms for where our audio downloads go. Just want to make it. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail into that?
I mean, we moved to the EPL Index. We're now a sub-branch of them. First ever Scottish club or Scottish fan media. We're not a club. Scottish fan media to have any sort of access on the EPL Index. It's one of the biggest footballing podcast machines that there is out there. They do content left, right and centre. Do check them out. And we've done in the last 4 days more audio downloads than we've done in the channel's history. So, I think we've done 21,000, 22,000 audio downloads in, 16 months we've been doing this?
Yes.
And we've now done, what was it again? Was it 40,000 in the last 4 days? Something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Bear in mind, guys, we are predominantly a YouTube channel. The audio wasn't a main focus for us, obviously, we were approached by the EPO Index and had a discussion with them, and they were, really doubling down on the importance of the audio side of things for the people that can't catch us live on YouTube and do want to, listen to us in the car radio or out for walking the dog or, whatever they're doing, they want it in audio. And we obviously took on board and we listened, and they wanted us on board, and we decided, Bhoycie obviously decided it was the right move, and the evidence in the first week's already proven dividends that they are absolutely right. But just to bear in mind, guys, where you get the audio downloads is the exact same place as before. You'll get them anywhere you want to listen to your audio podcast, on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want. You'll still find the Bhoycie Bus there. It's just been moved onto a different platform where it's uploaded. Obviously, you can get it on the EPO Index's website as well. If you want to have a wee gander on their site, you'll find it there. But if you listen to us on Spotify or wherever else, it will still be there. You don't need to look for it anywhere else. So I just want to really send that one home before we fire off.
No, appreciate it, mate. Any predictions from you, David, before we go? I think the chat is looking lively. Everyone's feeling quite positive today.
5-1. I want it 5-1 for the charity of so 5-1.
Fantastic.
I'm going to go 5-1. Kyogo hat-trick. Oh, to get one. Maida to get one.
Brilliant. I mean, I said 3-0. I stand by it. I think that will be the score. But I'm rooting absolutely for 5-1 because of Alex Subsey's kind offer to multiply his donation to the bus today by 10 for any chosen charity, which is just world class from him. I hope everyone has a brilliant day. We will be back for some PMP this afternoon. The dulcet tones of Terry Robb will be on, David. We all like that. Again, I get to tag along. Much to people's annoyance. But enjoy your day.
Thanks, guys. See you later.